Welcome to Sports Talk.
Hello everyone, welcome. I'm Nick.
And I'm Jackson.
From Top Notch Sports. Today we're going to be going over the Las Vegas Raiders off-season salary review. Again, I'm a Las Vegas Raiders fan, so I got some really good insight, I believe, on this team. I'd love to see what Jon Gruden and Mike Mayock have in store this upcoming off-season. Again, right now we are currently negative in the cap. We'll go over all of that when we get into this video, and we're going to have to work our way out of a hole. Right now we are spending, I'm pretty sure, about $65 million on our offensive line and $60 million on our entire defense. So that clearly shows you that we have all our money on offense, and we got to start evening out and giving Gus Bradley some weapons this upcoming season. Because honestly, in all reality, poor Paul Guenther, and I usually wouldn't say this, but poor Paul Guenther was working with nobody. I mean, really, he was working with nobody, a bunch of young pieces, but you can't really expect a lot. So we're going to make a lot of moves this offseason, and let's get right into it where I'll have Jackson explain what this slide means. Go ahead, Jackson.
All right, what's going on? So first things first, this seems negative $21 million in the hole. And also, remember, these are the boys under contract for this upcoming season. So some names that you might want to see on here are on here because they are, in fact, the free agent. First things first, like you said, this offensive line is worth a pretty penny. I mean, Trent Brown's taking up $14 million. I mean, he's been hurt. He doesn't want to be there, blah, blah, blah. Richie Incognito, again, coming off an injury. He's up there in age, so that could be a potential cut right there. Derek Carr had a pretty solid season this year. A lot of it could be thanks to Nelson Aguilar coming in, saving the day, revived his career. But, again, he's a free agent, so I want to see what we do there. Henry Ruggs, he was your guys' first pick in this year's draft. Had a decent year, not the best, but I mean, he's got potential. He's a pretty speedy guy. Tyrell Williams, I really like this guy, but when he's never on the field due to injury, hasn't played the past 2 seasons. Darren Waller, arguably a top 3 tight end in the league, had an amazing season this year. Damon Arnett, you guys also took him in the first round this past draft. Had an injury-plagued season, had a concussion, wrist injury, blah, 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 all that. Jonathan Abram, again, he's a really solid safety for you guys. Jeff Heath played pretty good this season. Nick Hukowski played pretty good this season. Cleve Farrell, I know, Nick, you like the guy. He's got potential. Mad Max Crosby, he's a beast coming off the edge. This team, again, started the season 6-4, and then only won 1 out of the remaining games. So they're going to have to fix that. This team definitely can make the playoffs. We're just going to have to see if they can do it and see what Jon Gruden's got in store for this team.
Absolutely. So, again, before we go into the next slide, I'll talk about it real fast. I'll give you my quick run through. Again, you started with the offensive line. You got some key pieces here. Colton Miller's one of them. Rodney Hudson's another one. Gabe Jackson's another one. These 3 guys have been there now for a while, and they've been studs for very, very long time. Richie Incognito is a solid piece for us again, but he's 37 years old, about to be 38, coming off an Achilles injury. Trent Brown, I don't think he wants to play for us. He's been hurt every single year. He blew up like a balloon. I mean, he just gained a bunch of weight. It's his time to walk for $14 million. I'll tell you, there's a little sneak peek for what we got in the next upcoming slides. Derek Carr, in my opinion, is a top 10, top 12 quarterback in the NFL right now. This kid has never had pieces around him, and that's the truth. 2016, he looked like an MVP candidate, had Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree, had some continuity with them and the coaching staff, and Jack Del Rio looked like an MVP. Every other year, moving pieces, moving coaches. Now he finally has some continuity, looking good again. Josh Jacobs, I'm going to be honest with you, I think he regressed a little bit this year. I don't know if it was his injury or the offensive line was blocking as good or the injuries on the offensive line, but he didn't look as solid as I wanted to see him. And that's just me being a true fan and being a little bit of a critic here. He did not look as good as I wanted to see him, and that's the honest truth. Henry Ruggs didn't have a great season, but again, we understand that we got to respect what he does. He doesn't just pull the cornerback off of him. He pulls the safety's attention away, and that opens up Renfro underneath and Darren Waller underneath for Derek Carr to hit with the underneath routes. So again, if you can distract the safety, with one wide receiver, you can get a cornerback and safety to double team you over top. That's going to help open up a lot underneath. Tyrell Williams, again, is a stud when he's healthy. Unfortunately, he's not healthy for us, and $11.6 million is definitely interesting here. We'll have to wait and see what we do in a little bit. Darren Waller, like you said, top 3 tight end in the NFL right now. Going to this defense, Cleve Farrell, A lot of people don't like this guy. They say we should have went with Josh Allen, who was a 3-4 defensive, 3-4 edge rusher. Cleve Ferrell, this guy didn't go inside, outside. I like when he's on the field. When he's on the field, I see a lot of good things. His problem's not staying healthy. He didn't play defensive tackle, defensive end. There's a lot of interesting things that we didn't do with his defensive line this year, and I'll show you that at the end of the video. Mo Hurst, again, not good when he's pretty good when he's healthy. Issue, healthy. Niall Scott, don't even really know who this guy is, to be honest with you. He's just here because we don't have anybody else under contract right now. Mad Max Crosby's a stud, really good edge rusher, get into the outside. Mullins, good. Good man-to-man corner. Damon Arnett's a great man-to-man press corner. Issue is that he wasn't healthy this year, and we need to see Trayvon Mullen and Damon Arnett be healthy this year. Mullen had a bunch of injuries this year that I didn't like to see. Going down constantly, he needs to stay more healthy. Arnett, with his concussion issues and just injuries, needs to stay on the field. Jonathan Abram, really good strong safety. Needs to work on his coverage, but again, as a strong safety, your job is to stop the run. I feel like he can do that pretty well. Needs to be a little bit more under control. He starts flying around the field, getting undisciplined is not good. You got Nick Kwiatkowski here, who looked really a really good signing for us. Corey Littleton, I feel like Gus Bradley can help him out a little bit. And Jeff Heath, again, had a good year this year for us, but I don't know if he's a long-term option. So let's go into the next slide. We'll have Jackson explain the notable losses. Go ahead, Jackson.
First things first, you guys are losing 2 defensive tackles in Malik Collins and Jonathan Hankins. Collins' expected contract is 1 year, $6 million. Hankins' expected deal is 2 years, $8 million. You're losing a linebacker, Nicholas Morrow. His expected contract is 1 year, $3 million. He played 66.4 the team's defensive snaps. You're losing a safety in Eric Harris. His expected deal is 2 years, $4.6 million. Played 66.5% of the team's snaps. Denzel Good, a left guard. His expected contract is 2 years, $5 million. Played 88.4% of the team's offensive snaps. Nevin Lawson, a cornerback for you guys. His expected deal is 1 year, $1.7 million. He played 67.6% of the snaps. Nelson Aguilar, again, like I stated, he revived his career here in Las Vegas. His expected deal is 2 years, $15 million. Played 67.6% of the offensive snaps. Losing your kicker in Daniel Carlson. His expected deal is 3 years, $6 million. And you're losing 2 edge pieces in Tack McKinley and Vic Beasley. McKinley's expected contract, 2 years, $15 million. Beasley's expected deal, 2 years, $13.5 million.
Exactly. So Jackson just pointed this out. Typically, you want to bring back the guys that have a high percentage of the snaps played. Again, we're not saying that we're walking from these guys. We're just saying that they aren't currently under contract. And on the next slide, we'll show you who we bring back, who we decide to cut and stuff. But again, typically you want to bring back these guys that play a high percentage of your team snaps, because these are guys that the team's familiar with. They have continuity, chemistry. You want to bring them back. The one guy I'll point out here, Nicholas Morrow, he had a pretty good year for us this year when Kwiatkowski was hurt. I would like to see us bring him back. And Vic Beasley looked pretty good too for us when he was on the field, but very minimal role last year for the few weeks that he was with us. But let's go to the next slide, and we'll show you who we decided to bring back. All right, so here we go. So right now we're at negative $21 million in cap space. Estimated cuts: Tyrell Williams, Trent Brown, Richie Incognito, Marcus Mariota, LaMarcus Joyner, Carl Nassib, and Jalen Richard. In total, after doing this, we're positive $37.7 million just like that. Again, Tyrell Williams is still when he's on the field, but unfortunately, he's not on the field. It's not worth paying him $11.6 million if you don't know if he's going to be available for us. Trent Brown, I can't stand him. Just let's move on. Richie Incognito, old man. Let's get rid of him. Marcus Mariota, not worth it. Not worth paying a backup quarterback almost $11 million. LaMarcus Joyner. This one was a little bit more interesting. Can play safety, can play slot corner. More of a versatile role for us. He didn't play multiple things, but again, I just don't think he is worth the $8.7 million price tag. He hasn't been great for us, constantly going down with injuries throughout games. I see him always getting banged up. It's time to move on and save that $8.7 million. That's going to help us bring back a few of these guys below. Carl Nassib, get rid of him. Jalen Richard, get rid of him. He was one of the tougher ones for me, was a stud for us a few years ago. He was our leading receiver a few seasons back when we had nobody. I think our number one receiver that year was Marcel Aitman, a 5th-round pick when we got rid of Cooper and Crabtree. But again, Jalen Richard, last year he looked out of shape. We got Theo Riddick. We got Devontae Booker. Jalen Richard, I just don't know if it's worth it. So here we go. Estimated signings. We're going to bring back Nelson Aguilar on a 2-year, $15 million deal. We're going to bring back Denzel Good on a 2-year, $5 million deal. We're going to re-sign Takk McKinley on a 2-year, $15 million deal. Let him prove himself. I think Jon Gruden really liked what he was seeing from him, the little bit that he saw in practices. Remember, he didn't play a single game for us, but I think Gruden's all over Takk McKinley. Give us another edge option. Daniel Carlson led our team for most points scored in a franchise season. Daniel Carlson on a 3-year, $6 million deal. Here's our first signing. Leonard Williams, 5-year, $56.3 million deal. I think this is very possible. I think it's kind of likely. He's been a Raiders fan his entire life, wanting to come to us in the draft. We opted not to draft him. I think that Leonard Williams should absolutely be a solid piece for us, and I'll show you guys in the next few slides why. And you got Michael Davis here on a 2-year, $6.8 million deal from the LA Chargers, somebody that we can sign and that is familiar with Gus Bradley's system. This will leave us with $3.6 million left in cap space. So that means that we could honestly keep Jalen Richard if we wanted to. But again, let us know what you guys think about that. So here we go now, team needs. What are we addressing this offseason by making these moves? Well, we're re-signing Nelson Aguilar at the wide receiver position. We're re-signing Denzel Good at the left guard position / left tackle. Denzel Good can play every offensive line. Right tackle. He can play every offensive line position on our team. And you're re-signing edge Takk McKinley. This guy, if we didn't even get a little sneak peek of what he was supposed to be with that first-round pick, I would love it. We need an edge rusher. We need an impact maker. Maybe Gus Bradley's system and Jon Gruden's personality will make Takk McKinley that much better of a player. And then after that, we're going to sign Leonard Williams, right? Bringing him in at defensive tackle, who could be an immediate interior presence, pass rush presence for us, which is exactly what we need. And we're going to sign Michael Davis as well at the cornerback position that is familiar with Gus Bradley's system. With that being stated, we still need to draft the right tackle. We still got to draft an outside linebacker and draft a free safety for this team in this upcoming year's draft. So let's go into the next slide now, where we'll explain our 2021 expected starting lineup. Here we go, Jackson. Go ahead, explain what's going on here.
All right, here's your 2021 expected lineup. First things first, $3.6 million after we make all those signings, cuts, etc. And with those signings, we just brought in a stud in Leonard Williams. He's been a stud his entire career. With the Jets, got traded to the Giants. Now he's over here in Las Vegas. And then Michael Davis, like Nick just stated, is a pretty solid signing, familiar with Gus Bradley's defensive scheme. Denzel Good, we say he was a left guard, but Nick did say he can play all over the place. So we slotted him at right tackle and put John Simpson in at left guard. And then Nelson Aguilar was a weapon for Derek Carr, revived his career, like I've said multiple times so far here in Las Vegas. And then Jeff Heath and Javen White. Javen White was, I'm pretty sure he was a practice squad linebacker. And then Jeff Heath, again, he had a solid year, but I mean, he's getting up there. So that could be a spot we can replace in the draft. And speaking of the draft, we said we're going to draft an outside linebacker, draft a free safety, draft a right tackle or left guard. You could do one of those and maybe draft another receiver in the later rounds. This team, again, was 6-4, was on pace to make the playoffs, kind of fell apart. If they can just quit that falling apart thing they got going on, this team can probably make some noise in the playoffs. Jon Gruden, he's done a great job rebuilding this team, just a couple pieces away. Derek Carr, again, top 10, top 12 quarterback area, had a phenomenal season last year. Josh Jacobs, again, he's got a lot of potential. He regressed last season, but we know what he can do when he is healthy. He's got a solid offensive line. I got high hopes for this Raiders team. I mean, again, this is a tough AFC West division with the Broncos, Chargers, and the Chiefs. So we'll have to see what Jon Gruden can get done here with the Las Vegas Raiders.
As I mentioned before, and I'll run through this real fast, green means guys that we're bringing in signing. Yellow is placeholders, right? Guys that we can possibly look to replace. And orange is re-signing. So this is who we're going to most likely be re-signing. Again, and the one guy that we're missing here is Takk McKinley coming off the edge. But again, he would be like more of a role player, come off the edge, et cetera, et cetera. Look at this team again. You look at this offensive line, right? And the first thing you want to say is that this offensive line is not getting paid as much as the other offensive line that they had earlier in this video. As I mentioned before, the whole offensive line was getting paid $65 million. Our whole defense was getting paid $60 million. Let's bring in Leonard Williams and bump up our defense a little bit, this interior presence is going to be great. This offense was a top 10 offense. Derek Carr is a top 10, top 12 quarterback in the NFL. He has some continuity at the receivers positions. We're not moving a lot on offense. So this offense should still be firing on all cylinders and adding chemistry, letting Derek Carr build some continuity with Aguilar, build some continuity with Henry Ruggs and Hunter Renfrow again, and Darren Waller, and the whole offensive line and Josh Jacobs. The more continuity and chemistry you let these guys have, the better they'll be. Going back to the 2016 call with Jack Del Rio, he had some chemistry and continuity with Crabtree and Cooper and Del Rio, and that's why he was so good. And the same thing, he's had Gruden now for a few years. He knows the system, and now he needs his targets, his pieces to be the same. Continuity is key in the NFL. As for the defense, bringing in Leonard Williams to clog up the inside. Again, Cleve Ferrell, I think this guy's a stud when he's on the field. He can go inside or outside, rush the passer on the outside, or go inside and rush the passer. And the reason why we said bring in Takk McKinley is I've seen them bump Cleve Ferrell to defensive tackle. Let's say it's fourth quarter. The offense is needed to pass. Put Cleve Ferrell in a D tackle, have Takk McKinley coming off the edge with Leonard Williams and Mad Max Crosby. So many times this season, we had Mad Max coming off the edge, Cleve Ferrell coming off the edge, and they would get after the quarterback every so often. But so many times when they would come around, the quarterback would step up and go because we had no interior pass rush. Bringing in Leonard Williams could help that out a lot. You bring in someone like Michael Davis, who's familiar with the system. I feel like he could be a good cornerback for us, and we'll see what he can do. Trayvon Mullen, Damon Arnett, hopefully they play a little bit more press, man-to-man coverage. That's what I want to see from these two. That's what they are. I don't know why we're trying to make them zone coverage corners if they are man coverage corners at heart. Nick Kwiatkowski was a great signing for us, locking down the middle linebacker position. Corey Littleton, let's see if Gus Bradley can make him what he can be. He was very disappointed in himself this season. I think he could have a huge bounce back year. Jeff Heath played good, but again, I wouldn't be surprised if we try to draft somebody in the draft this year at the free safety position to pair it with Jonathan Abram at the strong safety position, who just needs to be more controlled. He can't play so out of control like he does. Guys, I think this team is very solid. I think we can make a playoff push if we make these moves. I know we've been hearing a lot of rumors about Richard Sherman potentially going to the Raiders. Again, it's not possible. In this series, we had him already going to the Cleveland Browns, and that was a few weeks ago, and we're trying to keep it realistic and have everyone go to one team. When we do the Raiders video about 20 days from now, we'll be mentioning this again. We might be mentioning maybe Richard Sherman coming to Las Vegas as we get more news. So let us know what you guys think of the video. Let us know what you guys think the Raiders will do. Let us know about our mock free agency or mock offseason that we just did. Let us know what you think this team's record would be. And we still got $3.6 million in cap that would roll over to the 2022 NFL season. Jackson, anything else from you?
I got nothing.
I think that's all from us from Top Notch Sports. I'll see you guys soon. Peace. We are Jackson.
Build better.
See you guys soon. Peace.